So our Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's worldwide privacy tour, is it cut short after the South Park episode? It is said right now that the popularity of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is not what it used to be. So does that mean that their American dream, that all of their hopes for being, media moguls is just dying at this point? I think it's kind of funny because it took this South Park episode to basically be this is the end, like the end, because I think many of us were like, oh, more, is there more of them? Are they still complaining? When the Netflix series was out, we were like, that's kind of interesting. This is sort of interesting. Let's see what they're going to do. We welcomed them with open arms back in 2021. They were embraced and their popularity was really high. Like everybody was crazy for them and loved them. So then the Netflix thing comes out right after the queen dies. And okay, we're all right. We're okay. But then the book tour. So now the big news now is that they are the least popular. The least popular. They're not popular at all. In fact, let me tell you a little something about the popularity. They actually are lower than Andrew at this point. So I'm going to kind of run through some details with you because I like to do this, but I do want to, I want you guys to answer that question. Do you think that it's just sort of like, okay, they hit a low one and now they're, going to have to take a break and then they'll kind of come back? I feel like the whole South Park thing's kind of funny because I feel like the creators were like really feeling all of our pain. We're like, oh my gosh, is there still more Harry and Meghan? Like, when's anybody going to stop this? And it was like a hold my beer kind of moment. They kind of looked at each other, the writers of this, the creators of this, and they're like, do we need to really go in and do this? Okay, hold my beer. I'm going in. So they go in so that we can kind of be like, all right. So I don't care at all. I know. Okay. Most people, I guess there's a lot of people that don't care. Okay. So South Park episode was the worldwide privacy tour. And then they were totally mocked. And it's said that Meghan and Harry are extremely upset and overwhelmed by the South Park episode, and that their ratings in the US have taken a dive. And then, in spite of a lawsuit, they are not suing South Park, but they found South Park, the episode, baseless and quite boring. I don't think any of us found it boring. Okay, and then they denied the allegation that they plan to sue. So Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who we know, they're just unfazed by the drama because they're constantly having to deal with lawsuits, and they have really great attorneys looking at their parodies, and it's a parody. It's a parody. And South Okay, what did you guys miss? Like the past 10 minutes? I will repeat myself. Can you hear me now? I hope you can hear me now. I don't know what happened. I was muted. In a nutshell, Andrew is more popular than they are. And you know where he went. He was on the island and everything like that. So that is what happened. And I want to know what you think. If you think that this is something that, like, are we finally going to have a break from them? Are you hearing me now? Hopefully you do hear me. I just need kind of a nod. Yes. Okay. Can hear. All right. So in the meantime, still the worldwide privacy tour. You know, I hear rumors that, I mean, and who knows, that Meghan's like so upset. Now they're contemplating, even if they get an invitation, maybe we won't even go to the coronation because we're going to be booed. Well, it's ironic that, of course, you might be booed because, I mean, you kind of, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, am I able to kind of come out and be really dramatic and then expect them to just be all nice with us? So in the meantime, Harry in his book basically claims that Camilla had a whole plan and was using sort of this anti, she was deflecting. She would deflect onto everybody else that, they were like, they stunk and she was great. Well, there's a recent article out about Camilla moving from mistress all the way up to queen consort now. And so now she's a queen consort and she's crowned in Westminster Abbey May 6th. And if Harry is present, though it's not certain whether Charles is so they don't know whether they're going to invite him or not. So everybody says, oh, the king will absolutely invite him. But Will is like, Will is just like, yeah, not happening. So this guy, Mark Boland, was apparently all the way back in the 1990s, was working on Camilla's image because so many of us were like, look, we love Princess Diana. What the heck happened? He's having an affair and now she's going to be the queen. And then, of course, Harry comes out and trashes her. Like there could be some kind of, tea behind the scenes. Linda says, why are they not popular? Thanks to the media and his brother, and life goes on. It is true. Like, does it really matter to us in the scheme of things? I just find it very, very interesting that we have this whole shift in the monarchy. And the irony is that Harry and Meghan are saying things like, oh, gosh, they're like a media machine, like they're a PR machine. They're trying to manage their image by making us look bad. And yet then they go out in the public and kind of, it's just a what show. So anyhow, is Camilla, what do you guys think of Camilla? I think her image is definitely much better. She's going to be crowned the Queen of England as, she's a consort. So she's really not, she doesn't have any authority or anything like that, but she will be the queen, just the queen. You kind of get rid of the consort part at that point. But if you really think about it, and if we can still remember what we all were dealing with a few years ago, quite frankly, she was the mistress and now she's a queen. It's I don't know. It's pretty amazing to see. And I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I don't know how I feel about it. So in the meantime, here's a little bit more drama and then we'll talk about the coronation. So David Beckham's son got married. Brooklyn Beckham married Nicola Peltz. And all of a sudden, Harry and Meghan are mentioned in this lawsuit because she was supposed to be kind of invited on this list. And she didn't really even know who Nicola was, but I guess he's British and Victoria Beckham was British. And so they ended up being on the list. I don't know, but there were like 3 different lists. They had these party planners. They fired the party planners. The Peltz family fired the party planners who were getting paid like $150,000 up front. So now they're being sued. Somehow Meghan and Harry are involved in this. And it's all like, oh, I was so upset because she wouldn't wear Victoria Beckham's dress. And there's this drama here, but apparently Meghan and Harry have been inserted into that case. And now the big thing, do you think that there really is, okay. So that's a good thing to talk about. So do I think she's pregnant? I mean, who knows? It would, I mean, I hate to say this because it's really tacky, but from a PR perspective, everybody loves babies and everybody loves royal babies. And there could be a lot of forgiveness when she's pregnant. It could also give her an excuse not to go to the coronation. And yet, would they go so far as to have a baby because of that? Because they have said that they're like environmentalists, they're really into like, sustainable stuff. And we all have our, carbon footprint, yada, yada, you. So why have a third baby? So they've always said that they weren't going to. So now what are we going to think? I don't know. I don't know if they're pregnant or not. I would like to hear it. It'd be interesting. And I hate to say it. I mean, personally, most of us were like, it's like we're rubbernecking. We're watching this from the side. We've got much better things to do in our life. Next week starts Women's History Month, and I'm going to be focusing on that. And that stuff is much more interesting in the long run, right? But we are living history right now, and it may seem like it's just media and just drama and all of that, but the monarchy has shifted. It's changed. So King Charles is becoming the king, and that would be interesting. And then the queen consort, the woman who is a mistress, is becoming the queen. So there's this shift. So as somebody who covers history, we are living, I mean, we always are living within, history going down, but this is very interesting to see, a son of a monarch, a prince, basically denounce his family and try his best to kind of forge his own path. And yet in such a clumsy way that it's like he's a bull in a china shop. And even the way they handled what they could have handled and had a beautiful media empire, it doesn't look like it's going to go that way. Yes, they would go so far. They would go so far. Okay, let me see. They would go so far because nothing can ever be their fault. They'll spin it somehow. I have so much better things to do. Why are we so glued to this? Like I said, it's history in the making, and we're just, we're watching something that is so out of the ordinary. And now when you hear that Andrew may move to America, Eugenie may move to America, it's sort of like, why? What do they think they're getting over here? I mean, we denounced the royal family years ago. Our whole independence is based on not relying on that. So even though we're fascinated with that, and many of us show a lot of respect to that, we're also kind of like, whatever, right? So it's interesting that they're leaving that culture and that environment. Of course, Andrew has his own problems. Apparently, Andrew, who was living in the Royal Lodge because the Queen gave him the Royal Lodge, which is gorgeous. Charles is like, maybe you need to be out of here. I won't put you totally out. I'll let you live somewhere else, but you and Fergie need to go somewhere else. So he does. I mean, Andrew does have some of his own money, so he could always move. He doesn't want to be a celebrity in that way, but he wants to do some other things. He wants to be busy. He wants to, have something to do. So we'll see. So regarding the coronation, so Meghan fears that the palace is only fighting for Prince Harry to come. That would make sense. Because if you look at some of the old clips, basically, he like when Harry and Meghan were there the last time, Zara Phillips, Mike, Princess Anne, they wouldn't even talk to them because they thought they had microphones on. And Meghan kept doing this thing with her collar. And so there's these clips out where it's like, did she have a mic under her collar? And you can't put it past them because of all of the things that are going down with them. So anyhow, so here, this is an article that was in Fox. It was on Yahoo. I'm reading this Yahoo thing, but that's the title there. So King Charles's coronation is around the corner. And the question is, will Harry and Meghan be there and take the big trip across the pond? Without the royals themselves or Harry and Meghan, who are better classified as former royals, they're better classified as former royals, weighing in directly, there's a lot we can't know. We just don't know. So royal experts have been offering plenty of educated guesses to why the Sussex couple might choose to skip the May 6th ceremony. And then Christopher Anderson, who basically wrote he wrote The King, and he has this podcast called To Die For, with Kinsey Schofield at Fox News, that it's increasingly beginning to look like Harry and Meghan might opt out. Of course, especially after South Park, because if it were me, I'm a little troublemaker. I might have a sign that says world, like we want privacy while we're there. So I'm just saying that there are some troublemakers out there. Some of you may stand in the crowd and heckle them. We know that. So both due to practical concerns and fears that reconciliation would be too difficult. Okay, and the other problem is in his book, Spare, he started talking about taking out people while he was in the war, and there's a genuine security threat based on his own words. So, I mean, yeah, it's like a train wreck. It's totally like a train wreck. So, and then he says there are genuine security concerns to be sure. And then there's the prospects of the Sussexes being roundly booed. I mean, they're going to get booed. Harry and Meghan are still licking their wounds over having been sidelined during what do they expect? To pee all over the place and then get a special spot? They basically, you don't you expect to be invited in after you basically flip the bird to the whole scenario. So I don't know. That would be in my opinion, that's called codependency and enabling. If you're going to let them go ahead, do your thing, destroy the royal family, and then come back here and have a seat in the front row. What do they expect? And the other thing I don't like about Meghan right now, because I was in the middle, for those of you who've been watching a while, I was kind of in the middle, is the whole thing with her dad. Now they found all that stuff with her old blog, and where she's like, I love you, daddy. He did so much for me. He was always there for me. And then she cuts him off. Why? Because he made money by letting the media take pictures of him reading a tourist book of England before the wedding. He took some cash from the media. It's so ironic because they basically sold out this entire family for hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet she can't talk to her daddy, who's in his 70s, who gave his life to her and her education. I'm sorry. I have a problem with that. I hope they get booed big time. They will, if they go at all. They need to get a life and stay away from the royal family. They shouldn't even be there. South Park nailed it. It was so cathartic. Okay, so so he's like, they're going to be licking their wounds. Harry's feelings, and I don't like to mock feelings because I know we have our feelings and stuff, but he is just overly everything is so magnified, and you know what? Their popularity is so low, but who's at the top? The King Charles and Kate and Will. They're at the top of the list, and they've just sort of been, doing the Queen's thing, onward and upward. Don't complain, don't explain, just move forward. So Harry's feeling that the royal life no longer suited him only intensified when he met and married actress Meghan Markle and battled vicious media attacks, many of them racist in nature, against his new wife. The battle reminded him of his late mother, DEANNA, hounding at the hands of the paparazzi. And he has written and said in interviews that he felt unsupported by his family. And so much of that is that's the part that we can, I don't know, empathize with him. We can be I know, I get it. But when you take that point and you make it into a whole other thing, it's he's only processing it now. And it's very sad to watch. And somebody should have told him, honey, that's something you should maybe do behind closed doors. It's not making you look as, elegant and regal and poised, right? So Schofield, who's, from the Die podcast, believes that Harry may fly to the UK to attend the coronation alone, and also believes that Harry was hoping for a private meeting with Charles ahead of the event. I think there's a possibility that Charles could do a quick turnaround for the coronation alone. He did say during the Netflix documentary that he missed the aspects of royal life, and I believe traditions are one of them. And that's the other thing. If you really break this down, this was Harry's life. These traditions, this was his family, this was his life. Even if he's telling himself that he's doing this voluntarily, he still has a great loss. Even if there was some dysfunction in there, the loss of what he knew, the homes that he knew, the traditions that he knew, his own identity. How can you even find who you are? I would think this would be more confusing to find your own identity now than even, before. So Kinsey also says that Harry tried to secure a meeting with Charles in order to feel more comfortable among the family at the event. And the alleged response from the palace staff was, the king is too busy to see his son. Harry and Meghan, well, and think about it, during the coronation, it is going to be busy, but they've basically brushed him off before. The queen has brushed him off. Harry and Meghan will ultimately have to weigh their own priorities against the optics of either decision and make the choice that's best for them. But if they do attend, those royal experts would advise them not to expect a warm, fuzzy welcome. So Kinsey Schofield also said on one of the shows, she was like, I think that the word on the street is that they are like done. You know, they're done. They're over. And so at this point, and then they were like, somebody said that they might be pregnant, but word on the street was like, they are like, it's like Hollywood doesn't even want to invest in them at this point. I don't know. I mean, if they take a break, maybe it'll be fine. But anyhow, that's where we're at. They are very unpopular, the most unpopular royals that we have. Do you think the British taxpayers should pay for their security in the UK? Oh, I don't know. Are you going to? I don't know. I did talk about, it says, are you going to commentate on the Markle versus the Harkle defamation case? Well, I've been talking about that. I have a couple of, lives that I've talked about. I mean, Samantha, the sister, the half sister, is suing Meghan and Harry for defamation. She makes a lot of great points, but I think the judge on the case is like borderline. Like they're letting certain things go through, and then other times she's like, I understand, but how did this really harm you? Like, show me how this harmed you. She's asking for $75,000. Meghan and her attorneys, which are these like Kardashian attorneys, big wig Hollywood attorneys, and Samantha, I'm sure, doesn't have that type of money, but are basically saying, well, she didn't say she was an only child. She said she felt like she was an only child, which is not the case. She actually did say that she grew up as an only child. But again, the judge is like, but how does that really, I mean, maybe she lied, but how does that really harm you? So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that case. Okay, guys. So I am DEANNA from Hot for History. Please subscribe, support my channel. Next week, I'm going to start preparing for Women's History Month, which I'm going to run from probably May 6th to April 6th, which will give me April 6th through May 6th for the coronation and for royal stuff. So I want to talk about women in history. I probably will also have a support group on Facebook. I think that if people want to go there and just, talk during the week, that's fine, or during the month. But if you have any tips on what you want to hear for Women's History Month, go to, my little community tab. I'll post something up there, like on the thread on the community tab. And because I'm curious, I think we're going to talk about, hygiene, beauty, women behaving badly, some amazing women. I probably won't do so much royal stuff since I'm going to do the royal thing the week after. The month after, where we will go into history. We'll talk about the coronation. We'll talk about the diamonds. We'll talk about the crown. We'll talk about what they're doing rather than just current events. So anyhow, I appreciate you guys. Be blessed. And I will talk to you all another day. Bye.